guys, it's Ivy. Welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be doing my May wrap up. And in the month of May I read 11 books, which is so awesome. I feel right back on track and it's incredible. After having 2 slow reading months, I was like, how did I read 11 books? The first book that I read is A Court of Frost and Starlight by Sarah J. Maas. And I have already mentioned this before because I was too excited not to talk about it. Like, I had to talk about it. So I did give this 5 stars. I do recognize that people are not enjoying this as much as I did. However, I feel like that they're not seeing the fact that this book isn't supposed to have like a huge plot. The plot of this story is them coping with the anxieties and the depression and the PTSD of facing a war, and this is them just putting their lives back together after all of the brutal things that have happened to them. And yeah, it is them out shopping and having fun. And if you have read Sarah's other books, like the Throne of Glass series, then you know she likes to talk about girly things like shopping. Like, Selena goes shopping all the time. I felt like seeing Farah and Reese again was so much fun, and I loved every second of this novel. I loved seeing the different point of views. We got Cassian and Nesta, which I totally adore Cassian. And I just really think that people need to have an open mind when going into this, because no, there isn't a war happening. They're not fighting. It's just them coping with the anxieties of what happens after war. I really enjoyed this. It is the novella that bridges the gap between the original trilogy and then the new trilogy that's going to be coming out in a different character's perspective. After reading this and finding out whose perspective we're gonna get, I'm so excited. I cannot wait. I finally finished Winter by Marissa Meyer. I thought it wrapped the story up very nicely. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. It was nice to just visit all these characters again. It did take me a while to get into when I physically started reading it, and then I decided to pick up the audiobook, which once I did that, I was flying through. Waiting too long in between books made it a little bit difficult for me to jump back in, but once I was in, and I was loving the audiobook. Narrator is really good, and the story was a lot of fun. I felt like it could have been a little shorter, and that's why I gave it 4 out of 5 stars and not 5 stars. I definitely loved seeing Cinder and Cress and their whole crew. Again, it was a lot of fun. You guys are gonna be so proud of me. I finally did it. I finally finished It by Stephen King, and honestly, I would love to read more of his books. His writing is totally different from anybody else's. Like, you're going to get backstory after backstory after backstory of everybody and everything, and little pieces of information that he'll slide in will cover about 50 pages, and that's just how he writes. And I enjoyed it. At times I was like, this is dragging, but I did give this 4 out of 5 stars. Obviously it is a huge book, so sometimes you can feel like the story is dragging a little bit when you're reading a story that big. I wasn't scared. Like, I thought the story was creepy but not scary, and I grew up watching the movie, and then I saw the remake when that came out, which both are totally awesome. I definitely would like to pick up more Stephen King now. This was only my 2nd Stephen King book. I've read Carrie by him, and I definitely enjoyed this one a lot more. Then I read Aizen by Mary Ting, and that book was sent to me for free for me to read and then provide my honest review on, and that was sent to me by Good Choice Reading and Mary, the author. Aizen is about this assassin kind of like school, and they're like a secret company. She's in training to be an assassin, but they like put this stuff in her blood that like makes her move faster, and she can see like blueprints of stuff in her mind. They're trained to go in and kill people, like people that are corrupting the government and stuff like that. It's been a while since I read a dystopian, and then after I read this one, I kind of just kept on the dystopian path, which I'll get into in a second. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I highly recommend it. I enjoyed it a lot. Thought it was fast-paced, it was fun, it was entertaining, and it had a lot of plot twists, and I was on my toes the entire time. I really enjoyed it. Then after being in the dystopian mood, I decided to pick up Scythe by Neil Shusterman, and this book blew me away. Like, Neil Shusterman's brain is incredible, and I just want to read everything he's ever written now. Scythe is a book about how humanity has conquered all things, including death, and there are these beings called scythes which come in and glean people, which is another term for like killing, but that's the only way you can die, is by a scythe taking your life. In this story, two characters, Citra and Rowan, are picked by Scythe Verde to be his apprentices, and it is the story of them learning how to be scythes, and at the end of it he will choose which one he's going to pick to be the real scythe. However, this book is filled with so many plot twists. Like every second you turn a page, you're hit with something unexpected, and that is exactly what I loved about it. It was so thrilling and entertaining, and it kept me gripped, and I could not put this one down. I really recommend, if you haven't read this, pick it up. I remember pre-ordering this before it came out, and it sat on my shelf for like 2 years and I didn't read it, and finally, like after all this hype it's been getting, I was like, just pick it up. It's been sitting there forever, and I'm so glad I did, and I cannot wait to read Thunderhead. Obviously I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. Next up at Y'all West, I got An Arc of Lifelike by Jay Kristoff. However, this book is out now. This book is about Eve, who is a scavenger hunter, and she goes out and she finds this lifelike, and a lifelike is a robot being that looks like a real human. After she finds that and takes it back home with her, a whole bunch of shit goes down, and that's where the story starts from there. And early on I predicted the big plot twist. Unfortunately, I set my expectations too high for this, and I didn't enjoy it as much as I was hoping to, and I think that I will continue the series when the second book comes out, but I might pick up the audiobook because I feel like maybe I could enjoy that more. His writing style is brilliant as always, just the story wasn't for me. So I actually didn't rate this one, but if I had to, I would say maybe like a 2.5 maybe. Unfortunately, I didn't enjoy as much as I was hoping. I really wanted to. Then I read The Lost Hero by Rick Riordan. This is book 1 of the Heroes of Olympus. This series does have Percy Jackson in it, but this book Percy is missing, so we don't get to see Percy, but we get to meet a whole new sea of characters, and they're as entertaining as you can imagine. It's the same Rick Riordan humor that you see in the Percy Jackson books, and I gave this a 3 out of 5 stars. And then I listened to In Conclusion, Don't Worry About It by Lauren Graham, and it's really short. It's like, I don't even know, like less than 30 minutes or something, but it's the Lauren Graham humor that you're used to from Gilmore Girls, and I really enjoyed it. It's her talking about this speech that she gave at a graduation. Then I read The Wicked Deep by Shay Earnshaw, and I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars. I highly recommend this. It is a standalone fantasy, and it is so good. Plot twist, yes. Wasn't expecting any of that. Didn't see any of that coming, so I loved it. And this book is about 3 sisters who were known as kind of like sleeping around and falling in love all the time, and so they were drowned. As they seek their revenge on the town that drowned them, they come back every year and inhabit young girls' bodies, and they each drown a victim, and this has happened for hundreds and hundreds of years. In this story, the 3 Sparrow sisters come back, and this book is narrated by Penny, and Penny has to decide whether she wants to save herself or save this guy Bo that happens to just turn up at the same time that the Sparrow sisters are coming back. Highly recommend picking this one up. Seriously, guys. And then I read An Arc of Neverworld Wake by Marisha Pessel, and holy moly, this book is incredible. This book is about Beatrice, and Beatrice's boyfriend died, and his death was deemed as a suicide, but she believes that her friends know more than they're letting on, so she returns back for one of their birthday parties, and they all go out drinking. They get into a drunk driving accident, and they wake up and they're greeted by this man called the Keeper, and the Keeper tells them, you're in the Neverworld Wake, and if you would want to get out of this wake, then you guys need to all get together and vote which one of you will survive this, because only one of you can come out of this alive. And at first they don't believe him, and so they just like kind of go about their days, but then when they wake up again the next day, they realize, it's the same day, and they keep reliving the same day over and over again. So they take this opportunity to figure out more information about Jim and what really happened to him. Jim comes from a wealthy family, so they feel like maybe his parents were also covering something up, so they dig deeper into that. This book is thrilling, it's gripping. I was stuck from the very first page. I could not put it down. Like, I physically could not put this book down until I was done. Like, I loved it. And I met Marisha Pissel at BookCon, and she is amazing. She's so sweet and so nice. I'll talk more about that in my BookCon haul. I did give this 4 out of 5 stars, but the more I think about it, the more like it won't leave my head. This story will not leave my head. So I feel like this is a 5-star read for me. The only reason I didn't give it a full 5-star rating at first was because I felt like just certain chapters were just a little slow. However, the story gripped me so hard that it's literally still stuck in my brain that I would give it a 5 out of 5 stars. Like, I loved it. If you guys pick up any book that I talk about in this wrap up, please pick this one up. Like, I highly, highly, highly recommend it. It is so good. And the final book that I read is To Kill a Kingdom by Alexandra Christo, and this is a Little Mermaid retelling, only it's supposed to be darker, but it's not. And obviously you could tell from that comment I really didn't like it. I gave it a 2-star rating, and honestly that was me being generous because I did not like this book at all. Like, I felt like the romance was just like, ugh, and I was like, they're not even kissing, and it's just like, what kind of hate to love romance? Like, there's not even anything really exciting going on, and I was just like, the whole plot didn't even make sense to me because her mother turns her into a human as a punishment. She's called the Princess Bane, and she gets every year a princess heart on her birthday, and this year she takes a princess heart too early, so her mother punishes her by turning her human and telling her to go and get this other princess heart. And I'm just like, this makes no sense because you wanted her to take hearts in the beginning. And I just was like, this book is not for me. This plot is not for me. It's just bad. And I had really high expectations for this. I thought it was going to be a 5-star read for me, and I just wasn't. I just didn't like it at all. I'm sorry. That is my May wrap up. I'm so excited that I got it and winter done, and I felt like such a relief after finishing such a huge book. And I read really good stuff this month, even though I had a couple of books, but Never Rolled Wake was amazing. You guys, please go pick that one up. If you guys read any of these books, let me know your thoughts and feelings on them down below. And as always, if you guys like this video, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe. I hope you all have a beautiful day. Bye!